Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Leadership Void podcast. I'm Enrique with my co host Vince to bring you the best in our veteran, military spouse, and first responder community. And Vince will introduce today's guest.
Thanks, Enrique. This is National Police Week. We're so honored to have Russ Gibson, Osceola County Sheriff, retired from St. Cloud, Florida. Russ, welcome to the show. Start off, tell us about your journey, about you.
Well, first of all, Vince and Enrique, thank you for having me on your program. It's an honor to be here today. As you said, my name is Russ Gibson, and I'm the former sheriff of Osceola County. I had 32 years of service with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, all total, the last 4 of which I was the sheriff there. Uh, Before that, I was a police officer in the Youngstown, Ohio area. And before that, I was in the United States Army. So service is really all I've ever done in my entire life. And I really believe that's why God put me on his planet. It's his earth, and we just have a little bit of time here on this earth to do what he really wants us to do. Not everyone believes that, but that's my belief system. And I go where he tells me to go. And so I left Youngstown, Ohio in 1986, and I came to Kissimmee, Florida. I immediately applied for a job at the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, and almost instantly I received a phone call, and it was on after that. I was offered a job in the jail, uh, which is not what I applied for, but getting your foot in the door is something that's big in the law enforcement arena. And that's what I did. I took that job in the jail. Little did I know I would be there for 10 years. 10 years. And I really learned how to talk to people during that 10-year tenure. At any level, I could speak to people, talk to people. And I think that really led into when I went to patrol and through the court systems as a court deputy, extradition deputy. I also worked as a detective handling sex crimes against children. I worked cases against other deputies if they were accused of criminal violations. And I ended up in the homicide unit. And I think what made me so, if you want to say good at interviewing, was my time and tenure in the jail. And I really believe that a lot of times correctional officers make the best police officers because they really learn to communicate at a different level than someone who's never worked inside before. So it's been an honor to work for 32 years in law enforcement here in Osceola County. The citizens, the residents have given me such a gift. Man, just to pay them back is something huge, huge. And to know where our agency is today and where it can be tomorrow once I'm elected back to sheriff is why I'm running for sheriff. My heart is filled with the just service, man. Just my gas tank is full and I'm ready to go. I'm the only candidate that's out there that can hit the ground running on day one. And that includes the incumbent, I'm sad to say. But I'm ready. Law enforcement's what I do, and serving the people's what I do. And I'm ready for your questions.
Outstanding. Well, it sounds like you're pumped up. We're getting pumped up and getting ready to go. But you mentioned something so important, which is service, right? You served in the Army, you continue to serve, and you just never know where those open doors will ever lead you, right? But you took the right one, invested the time there. So tell us a little bit more about the sheriff's office and then your role there.
Well, as the sheriff, you are the number one law enforcement, uh, if you want to say executive person, authority in this county. Uh, in Osceola County, we have 2 municipalities. One is Kissimmee, one is St. Cloud. And both of those organizations have police departments, and they do a great job. They have 2 police chiefs there that do wonderful work. They handle their cases, and whenever there was a need, they could call on their sheriff's office, and they know that we would be there to help them. When the 2 officers were killed, murdered, the first year that I was there, the chief reached out to me, and we took over the city of Kissimmee for the entire week. The sheriff's office handled all of their calls. They didn't have any officers working. We took their dispatch so they could be off to just grieve in that moment. They knew that they could count on us. And it is a partnership with these 2 municipalities, your sheriff's office. Osceola County is so big. It's 1,506 square miles, and we have everything here. from ranch lands and farmland down in South Osceola County in Yeehaw Junction and over at East 192 and Nova Road. And then you get into the city of Kissimmee, the city of St. Cloud, and then you move out to the West Side corridor where we have our tourism industry. You know, so you have to be a person who wears many hats when you're the sheriff, and you have to answer to a lot of different drummers. You know, so from the ranchers to the business owners to, you know, the other municipalities, not to mention ranch and grove deputies that are here from the Florida Fish and Game and the FBI when they wander into our territory and helping them out with different things. It's a huge responsibility. And being the sheriff is not something that you want to have basically on the job training. You know, and when I first became sheriff, it was like trying to drink out of a fire hose. But it's a great responsibility. And if you don't see something that you like that the municipalities are doing, you can step in and take the case, take over that case. But honestly, in the 4 years that I was there and the 32 years that I worked at the sheriff's office total, I've never seen that happen a single time. They are accomplished agencies, and I will thrive on a great partnership, a continued partnership with them.
Absolutely. I love everything you've done. You talk about giving back. So what has Osceola County Sheriff's Office do to give back or stay engaged with the community?
Well, one of the things that we did the 4 years that I was there, we kind of turned things around in community services. And I just really had such a strong belief that the sheriff's office is only about one thing, and it's the community that they serve. That is what we're all about. That's what we all signed on to do. We're here to protect, to serve, and to take care of those who are, in essence, taking care of us. You know, my role as the sheriff was really to change the outlook of the sheriff's office as a community punisher to a true community partner. And that's what we really strive to do. When you start to connect with the community and they start seeing their sheriff's office as real people and not machines that are programmed to punish, we can turn things around. And we saw that in our crime rate. Consider the crime rate reduction of 30.6%. And at the same time that we had a crime reduction in Osceola County, I'm talking about where we provide services to unincorporated Osceola County, we saw an increase in population, as we all know, of over 23%. So population rose over 23% and our crime rate went down 30.6%. I would say that we were doing everything that we needed to do in our community and more. But giving back to the community is really participating in the community. You know, new programs, the therapy dog. Everyone may have saw Murphy, a therapy dog, and then there's Callie. That's 85% more effective in getting children to open up during these interviews with the child protection team from Arnold Palmer Hospital. And that means that those are crimes against children being solved. So, and I would do anything to help anyone, especially our most vulnerable citizens, which are our children, which are our most precious resources. They're the leaders of tomorrow, and our senior citizens, for sure. These are two groups of citizens that are taking advantage of the most.
Yes, and true results require real investment. And it looks
Yes.
like that's what you guys did during your time there. And, you know, the future, you talked about our future leaders. So let's talk about the future. How do you see the future panning out for the sheriff's office?
A lot of bridge building. We have to be transparent. We have to be bridge builders. We have to have delicate relationships with our neighboring counties and our municipalities as well. I want to make sure that our business owners in downtown Kissimmee feel safe and secure to conduct their business. I want to make sure that patrons feel safe and secure to park their cars, ride their bikes, go downtown and spend their money with their family and have a great time and feel safe doing it. If that requires deputies on bicycles with a strong presence with our Kissimmee police officer brothers and sisters, then that's what we should do. This is a partnership. And if you have the heart to serve and just a little bit of common sense and reasoning, you can understand that that is the proper answer. A strong presence in our downtown areas to make our business owners know that we have support from our law enforcement, not just Kissimmee, but also the sheriff's office. And if we needed it, we could reach out to the Florida Highway Patrol. We'll reach out to St. Cloud. They would send people down to help us out. It's just not one agency's problem. So we have to do everything we can to protect and preserve our tourism industry all through Osceola County, especially our West Side corridor.
Totally indeed agree with the partnership and building that trust in the community, Russ. It's so important. Early on, you spoke about, correctional officer, the skills you receive through the interviewing, which talks about communication, which
Yes.
is definitely listening and speaking. So let's transition, talk a little bit about leadership. What do you do, Russ, to aid you to thrive in your professional life as far as sharpening your skill sets?
Well, one of the things that I do is I just keep active, and I'm out there in the public's eye. I'm talking to people all the time. I'm just trying to find out what is important to them. What do you think you need to see in your sheriff's office for effective change so we can better serve the people that we're sworn to take care of? I volunteer at the Council on Aging, always giving back to the community. I've taken a little bit of a break from delivering meals. I actually opened up my own company of private security, and I've been working a lot of nights, 6 at night to 6 in the morning, and I'm starting to hire part-time security officers to start giving me a break. So for 71 nights in a row, I worked 6 at night to 6 in the morning, but it's your own company. So I want us to succeed. And the reputation that I have out on the West Side corridor where I'm at and providing service is that obviously I was the sheriff prior to owning this company and working this company. And these business owners see me there at their establishments, helping them, working with them. I've never been too good to do the job that I asked somebody else to do. And that I think is critical. For a year, I worked over in Brevard County with Sheriff Wayne Ivey. He brought me on as a supervisor over at his animal shelter. I'd never worked in an animal shelter before. I didn't know anything about that. And you're working with young people, many of which this was their first job. So, and when they knew that a former sheriff from Osceola County is coming over there to be a supervisor, they weren't sure what they were getting. Let me just say that. They didn't know what they were going to get. But what they received was a person who jumped right in and was walking those dogs right alongside of these folks. When they went to the bathroom, I picked it up just like they did. I washed those dogs' clothes, meaning their blankets, their sheets that they defecated on, urinated on. I'm wearing rubber gloves. I'm in a little room. We're putting them in industrial washers. And the whole time, and I'm looking up at the ceiling. I'm saying, God, is this what you have for me? Do you know where I was? And now look where I'm at. I needed all of those things to grow as a person, as a real human being. And those young people saw that. And I got to tell you, I formed a relationship with these men and women. It's unbreakable. They will never forget. When I left there after a year of service, they took one of their shirts that says, "Don't shop, adopt." That's Sheriff Ivey's motto for his animal shelter. And every one of those workers signed that shirt and left a little message for me. It's in a frame. That shirt will hang on the wall proudly. And I told them when I left that I will take them everywhere that I go. And they would never be forgotten. And I think that when those people that work with me, and it's not a big head that I have, but they see a heart of service, man, you can't fake that. You either have it or you don't. And I'm so thankful to the good Lord above that he gave me the heart to serve. And I will serve until I'm no longer alive on this earth in one form or another. So I keep giving back. I keep giving back. I keep giving back because I have received so much. What a gift I've been given. Wow. And I'm so thankful. Thank you, God.
Well, I tell you, gratitude is a huge thing that indicates a great leader. And that's when you are able to even go back down to the miry clay, right? To say
Never
you can
forget where you
still,
come from.
right. Never forgetting where you came from is so important. Now, along those lines of learning these things that propel you as leaders, you must have came across some advice someone gave you, something that you treasure and you use throughout your tenure as a leader. So what advice did you receive that you would like to pass on to an emerging leader today?
Well, and one of the things that Sheriff Hansel had said that really resonated with me years ago when he was doing a swearing-in ceremony was he was talking to the young deputies and the support staff that was with them, and he told the whole slew of folks that were there getting sworn in. He said, "I want you all to remember this. 90% of the people that you're going to come in contact with and deal with are great people. They're hardworking, tax-paying citizens who may have just made a mistake. 10% of those people that you're going to deal with are going to be people that you're going to deal with over and over and over again. And you're going to end up arresting and taking them to jail. And they'll do prison time and come back out, and you'll deal with them again and again and again." And what Sheriff Hansel said that really resonated was this. He told those folks, do not get those numbers reversed. Do not get them reversed. It's not 90% bad and 10% good. And that's one of the things that always resonates with me. And then the way that I grew up, I grew up in the church, and I learned early on to treat people the way you want to be treated, with respect and dignity. And I carried that through while I worked in the jail. I carried it through while I was a deputy in the courthouse, as a detective, always trying to treat people the way I want to be treated. Now, that's not to say when I had to take a hold of somebody and restrain someone or handcuff somebody or use some force to gain control, that was done. But after that control was received, it went right back to yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Even if they committed the most heinous crime. Murderers that I had arrested, or our team had arrested as well, when we took them to the jail, literally, almost every one of them shook my hand and thanked me for treating them like a person, like a human being. And that's really the best thing that I've told people when I did my own swearing-in ceremonies. I told the groups something similar just to this. I said, if you have an opportunity like me to have such a long career, you will almost certainly deal with thousands of people. You'll come in contact with thousands of people. It is impossible for you to remember probably 99% of them. But these are people that have children that go to school with your kids. These are people that are working in restaurants and they're working in stores. They're providing services to you and your family. And you won't remember them when you see them, but they will never forget you. So you have one chance to make a first impression as a law enforcement officer. One chance. And that's it. So how will you affect these people that you're going to deal with on a day-to-day basis, day in, day out, day in, day out? Treat them with respect, kindness, and dignity. And if you have to use a taser, if you have to use a pepper spray, if you have to use a takedown maneuver, put them in handcuffs, go back to being the polite, professional gentleman. I mean, it's easier said than done for sure, because your emotions get in the way, but you have to train yourself to do that. And I could do that with no problem, but I know everyone's different. But treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat those people like they were your dad, they were your brother. How do you want your family to be treated by police officers? Treat the strangers the same way.
No, absolutely, Russ. And, we don't know nobody's circumstances. So
Sure.
it's important to treat them like human beings. So love the respect, the dignity, and the sirs, the ma'ams, no matter what they've done. So appreciate you leading the way and paving that path for others to follow. Great advice. Now, you wore in two uniforms, Army and the police force. What memorable leadership aha moment you love to share with our audience today?
The highest moment that I have is when I think about that question, I think about a murder victim, Nicole Montalvo. I think about how, as a former homicide detective, I'm looking at the case along with my homicide detectives that are working the case, and I know that our case is strong. We make an arrest based on probable cause, and we should have a partnership with our prosecuting team. Their team came over to the sheriff's office and a presentation was made, and they said it was a great case, but it just wasn't enough to go to trial, which bamboozled me. And I knew at that point that I was going to have to pick up the sword in a different way than I ever had to do. I'm not a statesman. I've only ever been a law enforcement officer. But now I found myself reaching out to a state representative and letting them know, hey, I want to make an appointment with the Attorney General Ashley Moody, and I want to present this case to her. And what I was seeking was a second opinion. Just like if you're going to have a major surgery, your surgeon tells you need the surgery, but you might want a second opinion just for peace of mind. I'm being told that this case is a good case, but it's not suitable for trial, even though I know what I'm looking at. And I want a second opinion from the prosecutors on the statewide prosecutors team that handle murders. I went to Tallahassee. I made the call to the state representative on Saturday. On Monday, I was in Tallahassee meeting with not Ashley Moody, but some of the attorneys on her team. I did a presentation to the attorneys, answered their questions, and received permission to meet with the statewide prosecutors. They actually came over to the sheriff's office, Osceola Sheriff's office, the following Wednesday. So Monday, I'm in Tallahassee. Wednesday, statewide prosecutor comes over. We do the same presentation with those two prosecutors, and they're looking at each other dumbfounded, like what's going on? Why is she not moving forward with this case? And in the end, they make contact with the prosecutor, and they want to ask for the case to be given to them to prosecute. They can't just take it. It didn't fit their criteria. I get a call from the Attorney General, Ashley Moody. Don't do anything at all. I've already constructed a letter. A courier has it. It's on its way over to the governor's desk, asking for the case to be reassigned to a different prosecutor in the interest of justice. A week goes by, week and a half goes by. We have Sheriff's Day in Tallahassee. I drive up to Tallahassee for Sheriff's Day, but I had one thing in mind. Meet with Governor DeSantis. What's going on? Where are you at with this? Decision to move the case or what? After I finish with the sheriffs, I go straight to the office. I asked to see the governor. He's out of state. I asked to see his chief of staff. I was told he was busy. He couldn't see me today, maybe tomorrow. Now we're 4 hours away. Tomorrow's not going to happen. So the poor receptionist, I give her my card and I say, go back there and tell them that I'm going to sit in their office until somebody comes up here to talk to me and tell me what's going on with this case. Over 2 hours goes by. Finally, somebody comes up. I tell him what's going on, why I'm there, and he tells me Governor DeSantis has already made his mind up. The case is staying with the current prosecutor. He's not going to give the case to another prosecutor. And again, my stomach is just turning into a knot because I am not by definition, I'm a politician, but by trade, I'm not. I'm a cop. And I know that what I'm hearing is it can't be right. And so I literally have to turn this into a political, chess match at that point. And so I think on my feet and I say, listen, that's the wrong answer. All the Montalvos want is their day in court. And I know that this case is strong. This isn't about a D or an R. This is about right and wrong. I said, and I'm going to tell you something. Now I'm going to beg you. And this is right out in their corridor. They wouldn't take me to an office. So there's all kinds of people gathered around. There was an audience. I said, please talk to the governor and let him see that this is the wrong. I just want to have what is right here. And this is the right thing to do. Switch the case from this prosecutor to a different prosecutor of his choosing. I just want to have an idea and at least have an opportunity for justice for this family. I got home, I felt defeated after a 4-hour drive. I no sooner got home, I got a phone call from the attorney. Sheriff, I've been on the phone all day with the governor. He really appreciates you coming here and letting us know how you feel. Will the family meet with me? And or him. And I said, they will. I know they will. Stephen Montalvo is their contact. I don't have his number. I'll get that. I'm not going to talk to them. I'm going to get his contact number. I'm going to send it to you and you guys do what you do. I did that. And I know now that the very next morning, Governor DeSantis was in St. Cloud at the Montalvo family home, meeting with the family. And then 4 days later, he switched the case from the prosecutor to Brad King in the 5th District in the interest of justice. And we all know now that case was successfully prosecuted by Ryan Williams, and both the estranged husband and his father were convicted of murder in the 2nd degree, both sentenced to life in prison. But none of that would have happened if I would have remained silent and just accepted what was being given to me. I will always stand for what is right. No one really knows that story. You guys are the first time that I spoke about it in public. it's not meant to defame anyone. It's meant to say that I will fight. I am a fighter in more ways than one, and I'll do it for anyone.
Well, a true leader knows when and how to fight for their people and get the job done. And so, thank you for sharing that. Uh, Seems to me exclusive information with us. So we really appreciate that and the work that you did there. Now I know you've seen your share of times of change and challenges, and so I wanted to ask you what are some strategies that you use when those periods of change and challenge come?
Well, it all boils down to communication, and again, working there for 32 years, I can say that I was always a person that I wasn't happy with change. You get used to doing things a certain way, and then change comes about, and you're like, come on, why change what we're doing now? I mean, what we're doing is working. Why are we trying to do something else? But, I was handwriting all my reports like all the other deputies. And then all of a sudden, this computer showed up in our car. And I didn't like that because now I'm not a computer savvy person. So I'm having basically the recruits who are much younger than me teaching me how to use this computer. And once I learned how to use it, you know what? How do we get along without this computer? When I can get behind a vehicle and hit a couple buttons and run a tag and check a driver's license status, I mean, technology is something that I have fallen in love with. And so what it boils down to is having a great command staff that believes in your mission and is going to be able to, not only them, but along with the backing of their sheriff, meet with these deputies in their briefings and really sell what we're trying to do. And it's basically giving them the tools to complete the mission that they signed on for, our mission statement, our goals and objectives. So communicating this and also showing these folks that, you're not above doing this. As sheriff, I made, multiple traffic stops, when stuff would happen in front of me, and I'm in uniform and I made traffic stops, and some of those one led to an arrest for a DUI. And, but when you're out there and your people see that, I'm calling in 1050s and recruits are hearing their sheriff call a 1050 in, and it's the way that they're being trained. So they already know now, wow, that is how we do it here. You have to lead by example when you're bringing change. When I took over the office, we did not have Narcan at the office. But you know what I did? I used drug money, forfeiture money that we had in our accounts. I used drug forfeiture money to buy Narcan, our first doses of that Narcan, to arm our deputies with that. And during the 4-year tenure that I was there, we saved over 100 lives. People would complain that we actually spent money on this. We should just let these drug addicts die. I mean, it's in writing. And I've had to explain to people time and time again that, we are not gods. We don't get to determine who lives, who dies. But if there's tools out there that can help us save a life, because in my mind, all life is precious. All life is precious and has meaning. But at that particular moment in time, could it have been that life was saved? Wasn't so much for the person whose life was saved, but maybe it was a deputy that needed that euphoric feeling of saving a life that helped him or her continue on their journey of serving. You have to look beyond the box when you're out there doing that. I introduced body cameras through grants that I work with Congressman Soto on. I was able to bring in almost $2 million in federal grants. It's unheard of. It's never been done in the Osceola Sheriff's Office. I took 3 trips to Washington, which people said was a waste of time. And I ended up receiving $450,000 from Congressman Soto and the federal government to help offset the cost of body cameras. So you have to lead by example, and you have to have people that are accountable for their actions. They're trained, they're shown the proper way to do things. If you deviate from that, you run the risk of accountability. And I have always very fairly held people's feet to the fire.
I love, treat people with dignity, have that communication. Even if the change is strange, like computers, embrace it because it's going to be something definitely helpful in the future. So, folks listening in, how do they get a hold of you or the Osceola County Sheriff's Office?
Listen, if you have a problem and you need your sheriff's office, there's two numbers to call. Non-emergency number is 407-348-2222. It's a real simple number, and it's been that number forever. If it's an emergency, of course, 911. What is an emergency? Listen, you as a resident, you as a citizen or person living in Osceola County or visiting here, if you come across a situation that you think in your mind is an emergency, that's what an emergency is. 911, because it's going to be an emergency until it's not. That's really what it boils down to. www.osceolasheriff.org is their website. And then if you want to contact me, I'm my personal cell phone number before I was sheriff the first time, while I was sheriff, it is today my same number. And when I become sheriff again, it'll still be that number. So I give people my cards and I tell them, save it because you'll have my number. 321-746-7036. That is my personal cell, and it's not going to change. So, and normally if I don't know the number, I'm just going to ask you to leave a message, but I definitely will call you back. I'm busy all the time, but I promise you, we can set a time, we can meet. I meet you one-on-one or in a group. It makes no difference. You can also contact me on Instagram, and that's Russ Gibson, former sheriff. On Facebook, it's Russ Gibson for Sheriff, and my website is russforsheriff.com. And I'm here for you 24/7. Believe me, I'm no longer the sheriff and haven't been since January 5th, 2021, but I still receive calls about missing persons. Help me find this. I receive calls about suicidal people, and I put the right people in touch with those folks, and those lives have, thank God, been saved. But these folks are still reaching out to me, and I'm still working behind the scenes to help them. I'm here to serve. So, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
All right, folks, we're going to have that as part of the video and show notes for you to be able to get a hold of Russ Gibson and his journey here coming up. Wishing you all the best. Folks, if you want to get a hold of us at the Leadership Void Podcast, theleadershipvoid@gmail.com is where you send that correspondence. If you like a featured guest or a leadership topic covered, you'll do it by those means.
And we're also grateful for our sponsors, Triple Nickel, FAVOB, and A Hero for Kids. Today is all about National Police Week. Russ Gibson, thank you for being on the show, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you, Enrique and Vince. I appreciate the opportunity, and God bless you both.